to wait until 12:30?
Go ahead, just talk real slow.
All right.
Roll call.
So roll call.
Here.
Here.
Cameron Parrish here.
Introductions, because we have a new member.
Okay. I'm Rick Ware. I'm Brian Leggett.
Jeff Bennett. Cameron Parrish.
Doug Zerbel.
Brittany Chapman.
Well, I was waiting for you, but I'm Anna Dukes. Nice to meet everybody.
Nice to meet you, Anna, and welcome.
Thank you.
Can y'all tell her who you are associated with?
The Office Park, Patrick Square. The city.
A resident.
Resident.
Pound Cake Man.
123 Corridor, business owner.
Downtown, Tiger Town Tavern.
Alliance Pickens, Pickens County. I'm their small business liaison manager, but we're economic development.
Okay. I'm a new business owner for downtown Clemson as well.
She's a twofer because she's a resident seat and she also owns a business downtown.
Which business?
Well, I just opened. I have a aesthetics/wellness suite. It's in the think tank right now.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then
I'm Johanna Johnson. I'm with the chamber. I'm just sitting here for Brian today.
okay, we didn't have any minutes
Okay.
because October was a work session.
That's true.
December there was no quorum.
All right, and we don't have John here
We don't have John. No.
for a council update.
And I don't.
All right, outcome from the work session.
That would be you, Laura.
Oh. Sorry about that. So I have concluded the passport program. January 12th was the last day, and there was so much more participation than what I was hoping for. We had 89% participation. I was hoping for 50, so we exceeded that. That was great. The overall feedback from those who participated, as customers that came in and redeemed their prize, they were like, "This was so fun. Like, it was like a scavenger hunt. Are you going to do this again?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I'm already budgeting for things for updates. Instead of stickers, we're going to do self-inking stamps, little things like that. So definitely doing that again for a longer period of time. And from the feedback from the businesses that I spoke to, that I got to speak to last week, they liked it too. They would like to participate again, and they're hoping for more local business participation. So I'm also shooting for more participating locations as well. So it was good. I liked it. It was fun. We're doing it again.
Yeah, we had a lot of people come in just really excited.
Oh, really?
Gotta get our sticker. So yeah.
I have to come see you.
Yeah.
To come collect the stuff, but yeah, well, I'm so glad.
And maybe next time we won't lose the...
You'd be surprised how many I didn't come back with. So, but just, I'm budgeting for more. So, but yeah.
It was great. Yeah,
good.
we need more passbooks.
Yes, I'll print more passports. Smaller passports, ones you put in your pocket instead of ones that you like throw in your backpack, because I misjudged my measurements. I never claimed to be good at math. But yeah, so it was good. And thank you to those who did participate as local businesses. I really appreciate it.
How many did you, of the tumblers and stuff, did you actually give out?
So we ordered 36. That was the minimum that you could buy. And people, I received 33, 34, 33. I had 3 left over. So, yeah.
All right, excellent.
Good job.
No, thank you.
So the plan with the passport program is to expand it. It'll be, we will launch it. It'll be a 6-month program. It won't be a 1 month for December. We will attempt to grow the participating businesses. It'll be more robust. We're going to do that for 1 year, do the 6-month for 1 year. After that, depending upon the success of it, we're probably going to come back to the businesses that participate, and in the 3rd year of doing it, there will probably be an ask for a little bit of skin in the game, because we want the prizes to be substantial. Something that really is going to incentivize people to shop and dine and all that, participate in the program. Also, some feedback from the work session was the way that the Visit Clemson website was laid out and how you searched for things to do and activities, maybe to cluster those by activities or by restaurants. We have done that. That has been updated. Those were the two things that were very specific requests in the work session, and so those both have been accomplished. I'm very proud of how fast Lauren threw together the passport. I'll forgive her for how big it was, and very pleased with the enthusiasm for people to participate. Have you taken his sticker off of the dockside location?
Both, yep.
Okay.
The window stickies off.
Okay, the passport program was, Lauren went out and communicated with the local businesses to see if they would participate. It's a pretty passive for the business side of it, except for promotion of the passport, and it's a book, and the businesses that participate are in the book, and if they've offered something, a discount or any type of coupon above and beyond just participating, that's in there. And if you go to that location and you purchase something or you dine, you get a sticker. And then after you've gotten so many stickers for, like if how many were in this book?
We had 17 locations.
17 locations. So if, say that you needed to hit, 10 of the 17, and then that would be a completed passport. Then you turn your passport in up here, and you get this time it was a branded tumbler that had goodies in it. But the powers that be above us want these prizes to be like
A new car.
good. Yeah, well,
A watch band from Spidell.
like something that is pretty substantial, and that's why, if we have a decent participation in it, and we're shelling out, $40, $50 at wholesale for a prize to have completed the passport, there was probably going to be an ask for some skin in the game. But much like we try to do around here, it'll be just, we'll wade into it, we won't dive in deep. And like I said, and then with the website, updating the website to be more visitor search friendly, we have addressed that. I also did take the recommendation to council about the trolley. I did get approval to research the trolley. I have not done that yet. I have not had time to do that yet, but that has been approved through council. There was a recommendation from this group for us to research the cost to have a trolley, like an open air trolley, run a loop from downtown to like various points of interest in town during the summer, from the hotels to downtown to there were locations that were noted to just encourage visitors to come downtown, to make it easier to get around, just to encourage, and then give people something to do if their kids are at a sports camp at the university, or they're at orientation or here for a rec camp or something. So I am going to research how expensive that would be and bring it back to the group. I guess that moves into the parking initiatives. That's also, we haven't met in a couple months. So we have meters. The meters are physically in town. They are at Public Works. The plan to install the meters for on-street parking will be late March, early April. Probably won't go live with them until after the students leave, just to kind of make it a softer kind of launch. That's my idea. I might get different direction. We are doing away with used parking in the parking deck for football parking. It'll be first come, first serve, daily, like special event rate. We will charge a special event rate to park on street on game days, Saturday game days. But otherwise, like the Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, metered parking is, we didn't extend the hours or add Saturday to it. But we will do special event rates for game day Saturdays. There was a merchant meeting where it was brought up about opening up the prepaid meter parking for employees to be available on both decks. Currently, it's in the Earl Street deck, to open it up to also the Keith Street deck. Council agreed to let me do a trial of that. We're going to do that for 6 months and look at it and evaluate how it's being used. I think it's going to be fine. I don't think it'll be abused by employees, taking extra spaces. I think it'll be okay.
And how are we differentiating between employee and anybody else?
For the
Sticker.
prepaid meter parking downtown, a owner or general manager has to purchase it for their employees. They're given a code. They buy hours at a discounted rate. They're given a code, and then they're in charge of giving that code to their staff.
Okay, so it's a code, it's the app and the code version
Yes,
of that.
yes.
Okay,
Instead
got
of
it.
putting money, they put a code in, and it was only available for the Finley deck to use that code. And it was at a merchant meeting that we had, a downtown merchant meeting, where we were talking about employee parking, and the request was made to consider opening up the Keith deck so that code would also be valid in the Keith deck. And so I've gotten approval from council to do that, to evaluate it after 6 months and just make sure that it's not too heavy on in the employee side, because again, the goal is to have parking available for people who are coming downtown to patronize the businesses and the restaurants downtown. There's that. I'm going to open it up to Nathan now, because this is a good segue into another discussion, which is creating the additional employee parking downtown.
Yeah, so we've finalized design, we've done our internal review for what we're colloquially calling the North Sloan employee parking area. It'd be utilizing a road that we currently own, but we don't have any metered or parking spaces that are designated on it, and so kind of reclaiming that right away. It'd be taking Sloan from Edgewood to Shorecrest and converting it to one way going towards Shorecrest. The residents of Shorecrest would have a two-way access. Kind of, when you're coming up the Edgewood light, if you turned right, you'd be able to go to Shorecrest with two-way access right there. We'd be producing 32 parking spaces. One of those would be compact. 5 of them would be private from the development that's on the north side, the Edgewood Apartments, I believe is what they're called. And we're just relocating those closer to the closest building that's over there. And then we're gonna have one ADA spot, and then there'd be we'd do some ADA corrections on that corner of Edgewood and Sloan Street that currently exist, as well as putting an enhanced crosswalk, so meaning there'd be the 2 RFFBs that flash when someone pressed the button, that'd be solar powered. So assuming that we have employees that are gonna be working late at night, utilizing this, trying to increase their safety as best as possible, so that, we're assuming that the crossing of Sloan's probably you're not gonna have a lot of traffic, but the crossing of Edgewood you could, so just trying to increase their safety by having them an option to press a button that alert drivers that there's gonna be a pedestrian crossing at that crosswalk. So that's the gist of it. We're hoping to have a public meeting late February with the Shorecrest residents, just to kind of give them a heads up of what we're looking to do and bring that in, see if there's any major concerns or questions they have. And then we put that out to bid either that week or the following week. So late February, early March, 3-week bid, and then availability of a contractor for construction. So we'd probably be looking April, May for construction. I don't imagine this is a long construction. I imagine about 2 months for construction once they mobilize.
Excellent.
Any questions?
Questions?
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah. Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So that would be permitted parking. Again, purchased by owners, managers. That's the best way I think that we can mitigate just an employee purchasing parking to then use it for anything that they need to use it for and try to keep it.
And that'll be 24 hours a day?
In use for that. It'll be a longer period of time than what the current in Keith Street deck, it's 8 to 5 Monday to Friday. Yes, this will be more geared towards the hours that you need to be down there. I will also be recommending that these spaces be made available to people to businesses who do not currently already have spaces, because we do have a number of businesses downtown that already are utilizing the Sloan, the Lutheran Church lot and the Keith Street deck for employee parking. And there will be a limit to how many you can get at one time, and then you go through, and if there's left over, then I will come back to you, and if you wanted to purchase additional. That's my initial thoughts on it. It's not in a contract or formulated.
And operationally, it would be hang tags that would be purchased?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. The meters that are going in the meters handle permitted parking. So you can do permitted parking through these meters. That is going to be like phase 3. We're going to put the meters in. We're going to, phase 1 was doing the handheld ticketing. And phase 2 is installing the meters and charging for on-street parking. And we're going to get that in. We're going to get that rolling, get everybody comfortable with that and used to that. And then the third phase will be to go in and move the current leased parking to the online portal, which is with the kiosk. And then if you lease parking through the city, you will have your own login, and you will go in and manage your leased parking. You'll be able to pay online. If you have an employee that leaves, you can take their license plate. You will have complete autonomy over how you're utilizing your spaces that you're leasing. Really streamline the process, make it easier for the user.
So we don't pay you anymore?
No, you won't get to see me anymore. But again, that's phase 3. That is I'm thinking a year from now. I think too much change too fast is a lot on everybody.
So this was 35 additional spaces,
Yes.
right? How many at a peak, and I don't know, you don't have to give me an exact number, but how many people do we have employed downtown? Because I know Doug's got 8 to 10 people at Dockside at some given day or more.
This project right here was for lack of a better term, a low-hanging fruit.
Right.
Something that we could immediately begin to work on to help address it. It's a drop in the bucket. It's not at all.
This one's a no-brainer.
We all recognize that that's not gonna solve the problem.
100?
But
Is that 100
Well,
people?
so Pete, this is
So it
seems like a decade ago.
Don't count game days, Coach.
But I think when Pete did a survey a while back, there was approaching 200 employees downtown. And,
This was-
and right now, there's 20 spots, 20 in the Earl?
20.
And then you're thinking another 20 or 40, whatever, over at the downtown deck? How many are you gonna trial over at the downtown?
I'm not gonna, it's just gonna be,
It'll be the same number of spaces, but you'll be able to use your code at the other deck.
yeah,
Okay, so-
we're not gonna say that it's limited to, that's why it's like, we're gonna open it up and we're not just gonna say it's a done deal. I'm gonna go back and look and see how often the codes, how many codes are being used at any given time. When you really boil it down, when you're talking about parking downtown, the pinch point is lunch. It's the daytime employee parking. When you get into the evening and there's a lift on the 2-hour limit on the on-street parking, and the 8 to 5 employees are not downtown. It shifts. It's that daytime parking balance that we need to try to address to help employers and to still have open and available parking for.
But 55 plus whatever's in the other deck, is that many more than the 0 we had 2 years ago?
Okay. I now see
And,
where
and
this is.
we see the difference. It has helped. But I think you're,
Yeah, but then you have people who take parking away
You look at me.
and eliminated your parking.
but I think the thing that's gonna make the most difference is having the on-street parking be metered instead of free for the students that park and go to one class, and they come back and go. The next dilemma, and you touched on it, but the next pinch point is the parking attendant stops walking around right now today, or they don't mark cars after 3 because there's 2 hours, and 5 o'clock it's free for all, right? Is the residents that park on the street, because it's easier to park on the street than it is to go into the deck and go up to the 4th floor in the deck, right? They just walk out the door, they get in the car and they go. So all those spots from 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon through the evening are taken, and then clearly all weekend, right? That's the next pinch point, and hopefully.
Let me, speaking of the deck, I want to divert us just 1 minute, and since Nathan's here. What would it take to get a walkway off of, I guess that's Sloan, onto that second level of the deck? Because I know when Karen and I, we walk a lot, and when we walk, it would be really nice, because we're already parked on the second or third level, to just hit, it's like from me to Cameron there, a walkway. But anyway, think about that.
You mean to come across from the Lutheran lot?
Yes, come across from the Lutheran and go into the second level of the deck.
There's not stairs over there, so it'd actually be a
Well, it's also built into the side. That's what he's saying. A little pedestrian overpass would
Yeah.
bring you in on the 3rd floor of the.
Without talking structures, just talking pathways.
Yeah, just a pedestrian pathway.
We talked a 25-foot ADA spec, preformed steel bridge.
Right.
It's $250,000.
Wow.
And that's not talking bringing someone in to.
We'll walk down and up and.
So the price of steel obviously is fluctuating, and that dictates what because it's fluctuating so much right now. Steel bridge manufacturers are unwilling to give you a low number.
Wow. We just walk down and walk up.
And we have
Need more exercise.
This is someone we have a really good relationship with, and it's being produced through Pickens. So this is not we're going to Alabama and getting it brought in and things like that.
Yeah.
I think that was just real evidence of when we go forward with things, because that was something that wasn't considered when the deck was built. It's like, man, so and there may not have been any economic incentive to do it back then. And it was in conjunction with the church and the building project there, so they were looking not to spend extra money. But, when we look at forward-thinking pedestrian access, because you're right, it's just a simple bridging project, and it would have been easier to do it then than it is now. Modifying that, you might not get a structural engineer to let you cut into that wall.
Right, yeah.
I mean,
Understand that.
the engineer would be like, that wall's, that's there to prevent a drive-through and fall.
Yeah.
So once you cut that wall, they're like, no dice.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, there's like a position in that structure, so it would be bringing in the design engineer to look at modifications on that.
Understood.
I would motion put forward that if we were going to spend city money on bridging, that we could find a lot better pedestrian bridges to put into.
Yeah, that's why I said we would
Yeah.
walk down and walk back up. For that kind of money, that's crazy.
Yeah.
I would have never guessed that much, but anyway.
Excellent.
All right. Anything else for the Sloan Street project? All right. Next item on the list is vote for officers for this year. Didn't know we had that.
Yep, it's February. Jason cannot be chair again. He's he's maxed out his term.
I nominate Doug.
Second.
The third.
All in favor? Aye.
So we need a vice chair.
Okay, you need a vice chair.
Nominate Cameron.
I nominate Rick.
Cameron. No, not me. I travel too much, folks. I love that, but I'm surprised I'm here.
All right.
Cameron.
Fine.
Okay. Doug has been nominated as the chair. All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Cameron's been nominated as the vice chair. All in favor?
There you
Those opposed? That was quick and painless.
Responsibilities, Do we have any recommendations for council?
Yeah, or just anything, y'all, we can kind of, old business, new business.
Who was it? Were you at council last night? No.
I was in a public hearing.
I know that it was made the newspaper and the news. Anything you want to share with us? You were there? How'd it go?
It's the typical from a citizen standpoint, and what we always heard about the previous councils of too much building student housing. Elected this council to slow that down, and I think this council has personally. But it got into the parking, got into the traffic flows, people coming and going. Personally, as these are a lot of the same topics that we heard when Dockside was being built, and I was there with it as well. That's why I'm even sitting around here, because otherwise I would have never gotten involved in city and council or city government. But Doug, you come in and out all the time, and I've never really had an issue getting in and out. I think adding the light was a big plus there.
So you live on Holiday?
Yeah, and we don't have the issues. I think, from a resident standpoint, there were things that we wanted, and in hindsight, the BAR was probably correct. For instance, the parking garage. We wanted it to be the wall, right? But it would have had to be open. And God, when I can hear, or my wife says she can hear my car on downtown Clemson, or I hear the other cars running around downtown Clemson, I said, imagine those cars in that garage at our house. The other thing that I think we forget is that a lot of times, primarily students, when they're here 30 weeks, the rest of the time, most of them are gone. So I don't know where it ends up, but it's a big complex for sure. It's huge.
And my understanding is planned development, is that correct?
Yep. It will be a planned development.
So retail, bottom floor?
Yeah, just 8,000 square feet.
Yeah.
Is all that they're proposing.
Which won't fill.
Coffee things. That's not going to be much there. I think
Well, and that was one of the things that the residents were saying
Huey
last
Trail.
night, was like, what are they gonna do? What is the city gonna do to make sure that we're not getting vacant storefronts? I mean, that came up
Yeah.
a couple of times.
Well,
That was-
I mean, I have a lot of experience with that. I did too. It's not affordable for anyone. I mean, you've got to have buku sales to cover the rent. But the thing that people overlook is that planned development, when it's built, has a value and a tax rate of X. And then I'll give you this, just Campus View as an example. I'm on my 5th owner. And guess what happens every time it sells? The value goes up, so my taxes go up. So I pay as much tax on my little thing that is what Cameron pays for his property and 2-story complex. My taxes are almost as high as his. And that happens because the value of that whole unit, and then you get your fair share of that value in tax rate increase over time. So it becomes an inhibitor to people that have a small business that want to build in that. So that's the reason why you see these places empty, or you see people start up and then fail. You know, we got the, what's the name of that calzone place? You know, that's the 3rd place. That's the 3rd thing in that building, right?
I never thought about it from that perspective, but I mean, that's when I first came on to this. That's what I thought we would be talking about, is what does it take to bring new businesses in? And a lot of the comments were, we don't need more pizza shop. That's probably to your benefit. but you know what I'm saying? We got enough T-shirts, we got enough shops. What are the other businesses? We got enough nail places, enough vape places. We don't have enough pound cake, folks.
We got plenty of pound cake.
Yeah, you only need one.
We
Only
don't
need
have
one, that's
enough
right.
breweries, but you know, but those kind of things was what I was expecting our discussions to be around. And then the other side is, what are the incentives that we as a city can give these small business owners to be able to stay?
I would agree with that. As a business owner downtown, I was right on that Campus View area, and I had to move because it was just too much for leasing a spot for, you know, what I want to do. And I'm the small guy. I'm not even in the same, you know, level as this gentleman here. But at the end of the day, you know, what kind of incentives do you have? I mean, I'm a local person. I've been in this area for 15 years. I have children who have grown up here, who have gone to school here, graduated from Clemson. So, you know, with that, what incentives do you have for these local? Because it's going to be the local people who want to give back and see the downtown thrive. What can we do to help those small businesses? And, you know, for me personally, you know, not only is it a small business, but it's a unique business because I want to utilize other businesses around me to, you know, provide services and products and utilize the other businesses alongside of with my business to do certain things. So, you know, it's not just promoting that small business, you're promoting the partnerships with other businesses as well.
Has anyone looked at why there's so much? Because from when we were looking at a place to open, all of the planned developments had extraordinarily outrageous rents, which I think they all still do. I mean, it's the same as downtown Greenville in Clemson, even in Patrick Square. But you have all this vacant space, and those two things are kind of inconsistent with each other. Except that I think the developers don't really want to lease out the commercial space. It's too much trouble.
Well, they don't really care.
The reason
they have to build it, but they don't care. The money's in that one bed, one bath unit.
And Patrick Square more or less gave up on the mixed use stuff anyway. They're just building office buildings out
Well, I mean, the reason is economics. So our developer out at Dockside, you know, which he actually chose to try to get it filled, which is the opposite of what some of the others do. If they just finish it to gravel, right, and just leave it a shell, in essence, without even having any plumbing, any HVAC, no floors, nothing, to develop that and to do the landlord's scope of work for you or I to move in there, they'll never get that back from us in rent before they plan to sell it to the next the next rightful owner, right? So, you know, for example, if it took $1 million to finish off 2,000 square feet, which it did, you know, he'll never see that in rent from me in his lifetime, right? So it's an economic question. So what could the city do? We've had this conversation a couple of years back, right? But one thing that could be done is that there's a requirement, if you're building this building, you need to build it complete and then rent it.
But how do you build it out if you, and I do understand, because when we go in and we build these large building additions in a Frida plant, for instance, when we don't know what that line is, coming in there next, we gravel, we call it a rock room.
Yeah.
We just put gravel down because we don't know where any of the undergrounds are. So without knowing where the undergrounds, and I think this developer's doing, you know, the same kind of thing. Well, I don't know where the undergrounds are going to be. Otherwise, I'm going to be jackhammering every bit of that up to get it back in there. So if there's not a way to put that money in escrow.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, it has to go in escrow where it's held until the business can come in there.
Yeah.
Somehow we've got to be able to do that.
A certain dollar per foot is set aside in escrow for future use when somebody negotiates a lease. The second thing that, I don't know if it's the city or the county, but the way the mixed use is coded from a tax perspective, separate the residential from the commercial, and then the commercial has a different tax rate accordingly. So based on its actual value, not just based on the percentage of its footage as part of the whole, because it is truly different.
Yeah, Dockside's only paying taxes on $15 million
And guess
for
what?
the last 2 years. And I know the Bixby's paying on $55 million, I believe. I looked at all those pieces. I've asked Andy and Robert, but they said once it's sold, but that's not true because necessarily. I know once it's sold it'll go up again, but unless the Bixby's already been sold, they immediately started paying had an evaluation that was much higher. And I know when my dad got his CO for his house in Pickens County, they didn't charge him the same rate. They bumped
Does the
it.
developer still own Bixby?
I don't know.
Because I think that's the.
Yeah, but and that's what Robert told me, is that once they sell it, then it'll go to whatever that value is. But as a homeowner, that's not true. You go build a house in Pickens County, when you get through building that house, they're gonna say, this is what the value of that house is.
Yeah.
And you start paying taxes on it at that point.
When you moved from your first location, was that built out, did you have to build out that first location?
Well, it was already built out because I was inside of another business and
Okay.
she had it built out already. Yeah, so, but we had some things that we had to modify just for, because of the regulations that I have to have as a business owner for the state.
Yeah.
So we had to do a little bit of things, but you know, irregardless, she had to do quite a bit. Yeah.
But I've even talked to our tax assessor here in the county. I said, is there a way that I could just value this 2,500 square foot condo, if you will, on the bottom of Campus View, at its actual value, and then pay, taxes that way? But my lease is I got a 20-year lease there, so I'm stuck. But that's why people aren't moving into these places. Mm-hmm. You think about the rent, and the rent is just 1/3 of the equation. Then there's the build out from what it is, and then there's what happens to your tax over time.
And to your point, Rick, about things to discuss, this group absolutely, that's under their purview, your purview. It's just a matter of like bringing it as an agenda item. It's reaching out to, we'll now say Doug or myself, and saying, can we have an agenda item to discuss this dynamic that's happening with
Mixed use.
yeah, mixed use developments, and and then we have this discussion, and from the discussion will come homework that myself or some of us will go back and we'll see the things that were suggested. Are they legal? How would you go about, Absolutely. That was part of diversifying this group and creating specific seats that represent areas of town so that it is a holistic kind of look at economic development in the city, and it isn't about parking every
Yeah.
month. That being said, we've been doing a lot with parking, and so I'm just gonna update y'all.
I
And
think-
it is, and the parking's always gonna be like, it needs to just be a standing agenda item.
That would be a factor in the economic development, because if I were coming here with a business and didn't have any parking spaces, then I'd say, it's not gonna work for me, because I can't
And I
get the people in.
And it might not be an issue in Patrick Square right now, but it may very well become an issue in Patrick Square as, you know, you never know.
I also think that some of these things, like what the forward-facing issue that the citizen of Clemson sees is that vacant storefront. And part of that is brought into place because of things out of our control, planning, and I would recommend to council for sure that there's a lot of committees going on in Clemson between BAR, planning and zoning, even the police department's advisory committee. I think that they need to have at least bi-yearly meeting with all the chairs of each committee, where they could get together and say, well, we over in planning and zoning, we talk about this, and then Doug would be like, yeah, we talked about that too, and here's what we think, because there's a lot of different moving parts, and I do think maybe that some of that will be addressed. Monday night we have a meeting, class.
Yes, the 12th, that is mandatory training for commissioners and board members that sit on
Municipal boards.
municipal boards.
I like that idea, and I think that you could do that right here, and then anybody that's on the committees can be out there, just as,
So that could be our recommendation to council this
I like
meeting.
that idea.
Okay.
And Doug, who did you actually speak with at county regarding the taxes?
The, what's the name of
The assessor?
the
Assessor?
assessor? Yeah.
Okay. I'm just wondering if there's anybody else that I could talk with that we could maybe get a better understanding of what could be done, maybe. Or if there
Or
is
invite
anything
them
that
to a
can,
meeting.
yeah,
We can invite
and
them
maybe
to
have
one of these
them
meetings.
at
ask.
least express what the issues are so that they are a
His
little more
perspective was
understanding.
unique, and this is 2.5, 3 years old now, but he said, yeah, you can do anything you want, but it has to be done at the beginning. So,
Like the beginning of the development?
plan development, or of what you're doing,
Well, that's right there's a significant piece of information.
Well, because right now there's
And how does that happen at the beginning of it? Is
Right.
this like,
And they're complicated, right? Because Campus View, the land is owned by Julie, who rents it to the current owner of the property. So Julie pays the tax bill, which is paid by the people who own the building, which is paid by the tenants right? So that's even more complicated than, say, Dockside, which is owned by the developer at the moment and soon just one owner. And so there's just, right? So they all probably have their own little nuances.
And I personally would like to understand, how is it that he pays only that? We know he lump summed the cost at $50 million. He paid $8 million for the property. He says he had $75 million in it. Well, why does he only pay taxes on $15 million? You see what I'm saying? And because that's lost revenue, even though we're only getting a portion of it, that's lost revenue for the city in itself. And so I understand that once it gets sold, it's like every other piece of property that is around, because I talked to him about another piece of property, and so you're going to evaluate that at what y'all think it's worth or selling for, or what it's really worth, because, and he said, no, it's what you pay for, it's what we're going to evaluate it at. So,
the entire city, not just the downtown, is, the problems that we have. It's expensive to do business here. Everything you can purchase in the city limits of Clemson, you can get on Amazon cheaper. You know, you can drink, eat cheaper.
I can't get beer on Amazon cheaper.
No, but you can drink and eat cheaper somewhere else, you know. And then everyone from the outside looking in thinks that it's a gold mine, that anybody that has a shoe shine stand in Clemson is a millionaire. You know, but the perception is, oh, you own a business in Clemson, you're rich. And it's very difficult to explain to people how it's costly to do business here, and you have to really want to. You know, you could say, well, I can go to Central and open up my storefront in Central, and I can save a significant amount of money, but I chose here because it's my community and I want to grow and expand, and it's tough.
So what I hear is what I've been thinking. We've got all this empty space. It may be time to start thinking about sunsetting mixed-use development, because the whole thing of mixed use is that first floor has got to be retail. That's so expensive. Nobody's renting it.
I told y'all that I reached out to Auburn, the city of Auburn, and talked to them about their mixed-use developments and how they were filling their storefronts. And the conversation went, we've moved away from requiring mixed use. We are now encouraging communal use spaces, so plazas and open areas for gathering for people to gather together to eat lunch outside, you know, and moving away from this requirement of so many square footage of mixed use, because they were having the same problem. And they have found, and this probably been a year and a half ago, 2 years that I spoke with him, their economic development guy. They were finding much success with it. That it was the atmosphere and the feel of the downtown area, with more open, I'm not gonna say park like here because it's not, but you know, just communal gathering spaces that have a piece of public art, you know, just that vibe was really, they were pleased with the direction that it was going. That they just found that it was not, you did mixed use because that's what you're supposed to do, and that's what everybody thinks is the model that you need to follow, and it was failing for them, and so they changed it up.
Boone did it. Boone faces a lot of problems that we have because they're hemmed in by the mountain and the university. We're hemmed in by the lake and the university. And what Boone did is there's parking. They don't allow, saying that someone somewhere smarter than all of us said that residential property at street level, student housing on the street, they just open their windows as a constant party. No good. So now, almost universally across the board, all these developments, the first floor, no housing on it because they don't want it to turn into a street party every day, because it would. So what Boone did is there's parking on the first level, and it's disguised. You know, it's a storefront with advertising in it, and you know, it's fake, and then there's parking lots underneath the structures. And that's something to think about in the future. Instead of saying, look, it's mixed use, you're going to have a vacant storefront. Well, it's not mixed use, it's going to be residential, and you're going to make your parking for your residents will be on the first floor.
Yeah, there's some nice looking buildings up there.
Yeah. So,
But is that something that is even possible the way downtown is now? I mean, you can't go back and.
no, we can't go back in time, but for the next one.
Yeah.
When they build the next one, they'll say, look, you know, we realistically know that you're not going to fill this retail space. And the thing is, filling the retail space is, you know, you got to find a product that you can sell enough of to pay all those bills. And then, so I run through the things that I know I could sell enough of to pay those bills. And does Clemson want those things in downtown Clemson? And the answer is probably no.
Well, it's definitely not small business.
No.
It's franchises.
It's
you know.
It's the vices in the world. You know,
It's
gambling,
the beer.
drinking, vaping. You know, we can get that in there, but do we want that? No. And that's what I do for a living.
We probably have an ordinance against it somewhere.
I know.
So from a process standpoint, I'm feeling a lot of energy around mixed use. I don't know if we have an idea as to how we want to progress with that or not, or if we feel like we can bring something forward to recommend.
I think this will be another further discussion, and especially once we figure out what other committees are doing. You know, if we know that planning and zoning is already going to move away from that, then what are we doing?
Right, okay. So we do have a recommendation to council, and that is, let me see if I can paraphrase it. You brought it forward, and it is that at least once a year,
Yeah,
or
maybe twice a year.
or maybe twice a year, that the chair people of each of the respective city councils, city boards and commissions gets together to review what's going on in each committee's work.
Because I know that, for one thing, is the trolley idea had been thrown around by more than just us. I think Parks and Recreation had thrown it around too. So you got two people working on the same thing. It's like, hey, let's just.
Work together, okay. Did I get that right?
Yes.
All right, so do we need to
Vote on
have
it?
a motion on it?
I second that motion.
All right, all in favor?
Yeah, we've done something.
Do we have a recommendation?
Your work here is done.
And then maybe for old business, we need to put mixed-use development.
Can we get Nathan to come in
Or
and
for
give
new
us an
business.
explanation? I mean, at some point in time.
Well, and Nathan Woods would have been here
Yeah.
today. He's out sick, but he would have been just in attendance and could have had something to contribute just in
Oh,
this
we got two
conversation.
Nathans, I was like.
Yeah, we got a lot of Nathans.
Yeah.
Anyway, but get them to come in and explain it. My opinion is some point in time in an ordinance somewhere, we added mixed use. So,
Because the idea,
because we thought that was a great idea, right? And so now if we don't have something that we can move forward with, then, and I say sunset it because we don't want it to be a taken. That'll be the thing here, but we can't do it because there's going to be a taken. Well, it's going to be, we're going to do this in this amount of time, and if you want to build on your property by code or go through a mixed use, I mean, if you go with planning, it's all off anyway, so it doesn't matter. But sunset that whole thing, if that's the right thing. I don't know that it's the right thing, but I mean, to be building space that's going to sit empty or be a rock room for.
And then on the flip side of it, it's like, how do we, you know, we always think, how do we incentivize to get people to come here? You know, and I've done this out a zillion times and it's a broken record, but if you have an app development corporation and you're not going to put that in Clemson, you're simply not going to do that, because if you sell a zillion $1 apps on the App Store or the Google Store, you don't want to pay your business license based on that. You're just not going to do it. You know, I'm going to put it in unincorporated part of the county. I'm going to put it in central. I'm going to put it somewhere where I'm not going to be taxed a certain way. So do we change how if we want to get the type of business that's taken academic might and changing it into economic might, we got to figure out how to get them to come here. But it also has to be fair enough to the people who are already here. You know, so that's the hard part. So I would say, you know, I'm always a bell curve guy. You make your business license is based on a bell curve of the number of employees you have. You have 2 employees, and you make kudzu soap and you sell it on a little storefront. You got the lowest business license in the city, and if you're a Google campus and you've taken over the old Food Line complex and built a Google campus there, and you got 1,000 employees, your business license is beans. And then me, or Chick-fil-A, you know, right in Walmart, right in the middle, you have a high business license because I can't move. You know, I can't. I have to be here. Chick-fil-A has to be here, you know. And so I just pay. And then that's the way life goes.
So are you bringing up another potential topic, which is?
I don't think it's legal in South Carolina to do it that way.
It's not, and you don't need even to begin to talk about touching business license. It's a tax, it's a formula, it's like, it's regulated.
But I mean, how do other municipalities and other states do it that way? And then you know, or you just do it bell curve based on your sales, you know, because you're the middle of the road guy is not moving. Walmart's not moving. Ingles, Publix, they're not going to move up and say, you know what, I'm going to go out in the county somewhere, and I'm not moving. But you know, you very well may. You may say, you know what, I just can't afford this. I'm just going to move out to unincorporated part of the county. You know, or I'm going to go right across that bridge to a building they're going to build in that new complex over there, and we're going to lose people. So how do we make it so and it has to be fair, because if someone new comes along, you want the same thing that they got. I want, you know, it's like, oh yeah, we'll give you, you know, whatever, we'll forgive your tax base for X amount of time because you came here. Then I'm going to be like, hey, excuse me, why not me? But find a way but how do we get that? No one wants a lead smelter coming here to build batteries, no one. But we do want to take economic might and generate it from academic might, you know. And that's the big question that I keep asking myself is how do we do that? Because if we do it right, then all that economic might that we produce because of smart people working hard, they're going to spend money with me. They're going to spend money with you and you and you. And so, in retail side will benefit from the bigger picture, but I don't know how we get there. We need smarter people than me.
Well, you've got a big topic. We have a smaller topic that we can tackle. And the smaller topic was the energy we all had around mixed use. Can we start, I'm throwing this out there, and I'm really looking at you, Lindsay, to see if you think this is a reasonable way to start, is let's invite Nathan to come and educate us on what is in our city ordinances and how we understand mixed use comes from and how it ends up where it is. And then that'll be an education session that we can figure out if we have a workshop or a working session to come out of that. To actually work on something that we could recommend some changes to once we understand the basis and the background.
Sounds good.
Good? All right.
It's a manageable, bite-sized piece.
Yeah. So for the agenda for whatever our next meeting is. Okay.
Excellent.
All right. Any other business, old or new?
Nope.
Do you want to say anything about anything that's happening downtown?
Yeah.
But then I'm going to ask you to give us an update on rowing. Yes, you.
In what respect?
Mind reading.
Never mind.
I can see mind reading
Streetscape.
going on here. In what respect? Streetscape.
Sorry, there's a lot going on downtown. So Cameron's been involved with us for a little bit. We have 2 RFQs out, one for the demolition and reconstruction of the substation. That's 1085. Anyway, the substation.
The substation's being
And
done.
also, and because grants are great, we have another RFQ out for redesigning the streetscape from 93 to what we're about North Clemson is the area that we're looking to design. We have enough funding, we think, we hope, for one side of the road, but depending on the design, it might dictate that we have to be creative. The goal is to come up with a more sustainable, more ADA-friendly streetscape, and then also so we've done a phase 1 ESA. We're currently doing the environmental assessment. So we've done a phase 1 ESA for the building. It's not great, and we're doing a phase 2 right now. So I've heard tidbits from the firm that we have doing that for us right now, but they've not given the report back yet. We're hoping, so we can't award, but we're hoping to at least enter negotiations with the 2 selected firms. So we have 2 interviews for the streetscape on Friday morning that should allow us to be able to wrap up selection for the building. And we're hoping to do that in a design build, so it should be a very quick process once we go through that. And then the streetscape will be kind of concurrent, so it'll be 2 projects going concurrently. The goal for the building, and as long as we can meet some deadlines for grant application and grant award, we've been awarded, but we don't have access to the funds yet. So once we get through the portion where we can have access to the funds, we can award our contract to the two firms. The goal is to demo the building and put a temporary, as long as the pad's in decent enough shape after the demolition, is to put a temporary facility for the police to be able to use through the football season, and then hopefully be ready. And this is the reason we really push for a design build for the building, is so we can be ready to start construction the Thursday after football. I mean, the Monday after the last football game. So 1st of December this year is when we're hoping to start construction. They've told, in the interviews we've had with them, they've told us about a 6-month build out. So I mean, the building will be pretty quick. The streetscape, I think, is also going to be about 6 months, and I'm sorry for everybody who's already down there and how much mess and everything we're going to make, but I think it's going to be a lot better. I don't know if, I'm sure everyone's walked downtown, and you can notice that those pavers don't hold up very well. And as much as it's great to have the pavers because it's easy to repair utilities, there's a downside to them as well. And so the goal is to make some of this a little bit more sustainable in maintaining ADA, and then we're hoping to then work on making, so when we go forward, we'll have that kind of design language. So whether it's stamped concrete or it's something decorative, whatever the decorative measures are that have been recommended by our design firm, we hope to have that be able to be implemented and repeated throughout downtown. The goal of this project is to follow the Alta plan that had been done in 2018, so kind of narrowing the road a little bit, doing a quasi road diet, and then coming in and offsetting parking where we can to make sure that we have. And we're kind of maintaining the status quo in parking, but we're increasing the walkability of downtown. So that's the long-term goal. And then also, once we have this one grant award, we can go back for more after we successfully done one project. So that's the other goal. That's the reason we're designing both sides, is so that we can come in one grant, build one side of it out, build the next side, and hopefully it's very quickly after that, and have that design language for how downtown would be envisioned from here. And one of the things that we will be doing is we'll be having stakeholder meetings for the building and for the streetscape, and that's going to be where we need every one of y'all to go to, all the businesses that are around you and say, hey, please come to this, because this is the one time to get your voice heard, because it'll be early in design. It'll give an opportunity for the engineers and the landscape architects to really hear everybody, and the architects to hear everybody's voice and try to incorporate what they can to make sure that the facade of the building, the streetscape is functional and works for everybody holistically as we move forward through downtown.
Very good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And if you want to give us a quick update on rowing?
So we have about 45 teams coming in right now. The first one will be here on February 14th, and they'll come all the way through March. We still have teams registering. One came in this morning, so it's just kind of, they were coming across the country, and they're like, hey, we'll be here next week. So they know what they're doing. We've really tried to encourage a lot of, them to come to local businesses and eat there, shop there. We remind them that we are an ATAX community, so hopefully that will help. We have new schools coming in. A lot of them, like I said, have been coming for 30 plus years, so they have a routine down. But we're just trying to give them, whenever they arrive, they'll receive, local businesses, how far they are from their hotels, and also how far they are from 12 Mile. So hopefully that will help. So we'll see how it goes this year, and then kind of reevaluate for next year.
Excellent.
Yes.
What can be done to take all of the business's information and get it funneled to those people that are coming?
So we thought about doing a packet this year that just gives them, I think the start is going to be giving them the businesses that are available to them, just because they don't really know what's around them. They just can just look it up. So I think maybe next year we're looking at doing a packet where we come to local businesses and ask for discounts, because obviously they're broke college kids. They're going to go to a business that offers them a discount. So I think that next year that's going to be something we try to do, rather than just giving them this is what's available to you kind of thing. And I think that's going to help a lot as well.
Okay. All right.
Thank
All right,
you.
any other old or new business?
Nope.
Accept the motion and adjourn the meeting?
So motion.
Second?
Second.
All right. Do we have to all in favor for that?
Yeah, sure. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. All right, motion. Meeting's adjourned.